Hey friends, Ryan Smith here, the pastor at Common Thread Church. I hope that you are having a good day. Monday, it's not really Monday, it's Tuesday, right? It's Monday, though it feels like. Hope you had a good Memorial Day, spent some time with family, friends, whatever you do on that holiday. But I hope it was uplifting to you and that you're starting this day off well. So a lot of people have asked me, what is Common Thread about? What are we like? How would you describe us? And for us, that's always changing, to be honest. But for us, it's this idea that we want to share life and we want to impact our world. We know those are kind of core to who we are, but that changes. But our goal has always been to be this new church. And when I say new church, it's not like we're reinventing anything. I know some people push back from that language a little bit, but for us, we're a new church in the sense that we're a new church plant. We've only been around for a little over a year and a half, almost 2 years now. And our goal is to become a home for those people who have struggled with their faith or with God, or more importantly, the church. They've had this experience, right? They've had this experience of what it means to believe in the divine, but it has, in different ways, have pushed back from that and have kind of walked away from what it means to be a part of a community. And so for us, we're trying to explore what it looks like to rebuild a place where those people feel welcome. And to be honest, if they've been there, done that, you can't do the same things over and over again and expect something different. So for us, we're exploring that. What does it look like to be a non-traditional church, but still hold to what it means to be a Christ follower, and to hold on to things that are important and to let go of those. And to be honest, that's tough, that's tricky, that's messy. And so if you're looking for a place that's not those things, we're not that, but that's who we are. And so for us, that's kind of what this Facebook time has kind of turned into for me, is what it means to wrestle with your faith, to wrestle with what it means to be in community, what it means to wrestle with a belief in God, a belief in the divine. And that's kind of what today I want to talk about, this concept called deconstruction. They say, I think the percentage keeps going up each year, but they say about 44% of the population at some point in their life goes through a faith crisis. And this is, to have a faith crisis, it doesn't even mean that you had to have a faith in God, right? It just means there's something inside you that changes. So even an agnostic or an atheist can have one of these moments of deconstruction where their world is flipped upside down. And they question who they are. We talked about it, I think, last week or the week before, the idea, the matrix, the red pill and the blue pill kind of conversation, that what you once knew gets flipped upside down, and so you begin to question things. And for many people, they call this the word deconstruction, and it's really the first phase of that process of where your faith in something or not in something begins to evolve. And to be honest, the church and many Christians have pushed back from the concept of deconstruction, this idea that it scares them, that when you talk about faith or deconstruction, you talk about doubt, or you begin questioning, and it's core things that we've always held on to. And so it gets kind of dicey, it kind of gets a little uneasy, but it shouldn't be something we fear. Now, what I do think I want to kind of address with this concept of deconstruction is that many will choose to just stay in that concept, into that phase of deconstruction, that they tear things down, but they don't rebuild anything. And I want to say, whether you believe in God or not, that just to stay in that phase of deconstruction, of just being torn down, is not healthy. That we're called to be people who create, to build, to grow, to mature. And so if you find yourself in that place of doubt or deconstruction, then I want to encourage you not to stay there, but to begin the process of what it means to rebuild. And that's honestly what I love most about being a minister, or being a pastor, is when I'm a part of the process of opening up someone's eyes to something new about God, or about the divine, or about the scriptures, that they've heard it all before, but there's something that's revealed in it. And I don't want to say that's not because of who I am, but it's just that's what God does, is that He's always changing, He's always evolving, He's always allowing His message to be something more. And so I love being a part of that. And you see the light bulb click onto someone's head, that they see that there's a new connection to God through something they've learned. And so one of the core issues behind deconstruction is the concept of faith, of knowledge, or of certainty, right? That those are words that come into play when we're talking about faith, or when we go into deconstruction. Those are words that pop up. Another word that kind of pops up is this word doubt, right? That we're not supposed to have doubt. You go to James 1 or some other passages in the Bible when it starts talking about doubt. And so we question, when there's doubt or faith, what's going on, right? And so we've kind of come to define faith as a combination of knowing and not knowing. But in this, that people, I think, have gotten the impression that they have a right to perfect certitude and this perfect clarity and a perfect order in every step of the way of what it means to follow God. But I think if this is your understanding of what it means to be a Christian, then you basically, and I'm going to say this kind of strongly, then you basically destroyed the biblical idea of faith to begin with. And this is the temptation of making certainty an idol. And those are church words, but just this idea that certainty becomes a thing that you hold on to more than anything else. But the problem is when you have a moment that rocks your soul, if you're one of those 44%, you know, they call it the dark night of the soul, that moment where something happens and it just takes out the blocks and all the blocks begin to tumble down. This is where deconstruction begins. And so if any of those words, doubt and questioning and all those things, are taboo to you, then you begin to think that you're losing your faith. But I would say when in fact, I would even say the great ones say that when you have those moments of questioning, of doubt, those dark nights of the souls, that you're actually is when you begin finding your faith. And so many people tend to think that your faith is as strong as your mind is certain, in which case doubt is the antithesis of faith, right? But this view, I think, is incorrect. Biblical faith isn't about trying to attain certainty. It's about committing to a course of action or an exploration in the face of uncertainty. So God is not seeking all the right answers from his people in order to let them into heaven. He's our loving bridegroom who seeks to be in covenantal relationship with us in the midst of our uncertainties. And so I want to kind of introduce this concept. This kind of growing in my mind. This kind of been it's been introduced to me and it keeps expounding me. But I call it the funnel of faith. So this idea that if God is truly, if God truly exists, okay, we have to start there. If God truly exists, and he is this eternal thing, that he's not this thing that we can put in a box and we can just hold right here, but he's this eternal thing that's let's say up here. You know, we know he's not up, but you know, if he's this eternal thing that exists in all of creation, of all of DNA, right? And we are this little entity down here. That this idea that when you begin faith, that when you begin a walk with God, that you are called to become like God, to become like Christ, you're called to not be just who you are, but to become something more, to get to know who God is. And so the way it's been explained to me, and the way I like to think about it, is it's like this funnel, okay? So if God is this entity out here that we can never get our grasp around, but we begin here down at the bottom, as we get to know him, as we begin to walk, as we begin to explore, it's like it's a funnel. And that funnel begins to widen. As we learn, as we grow, that funnel widens and keeps widening and keeps widening and keeps widening until we're growing towards this essence of becoming more like God, becoming like Christ. As we know more about him, we get to become more like him. And so our funnel expands, okay? So here's the interesting thing about the funnel. Is that when certainty is your idol, when you hold on to certainty, you think, if I can just know this, if I know this amount about God, then I'm good, then I've arrived, right? But if you use this funnel model, what happens is really, if you're here and if I could just know this, what happens is you work towards that question, those answers, and once you get to those answers, you feel good. But in reality, what you find is that as you look up, there's so much more left to go. And so what happens is that once you get to that answer, you find out it opens up the door for more questions, right? The idea that is that concept of we don't know what we don't know. And so and having faith is that idea that I'm going to start my process on that funnel. And that each one of us is on that funnel at different levels, and that we're not called to be at the same place. That we're continually moving on that funnel. And so the idea is that in my mind, in my maturation, there's things I need to know. There's things I need to wrestle with, and so I begin searching out for those things, and I begin going up that funnel. But when I get to those answers, I'm not called to stay there. I'm called to continue to grow. So no matter how smart, how mature, how well versed you are, however you want to put it, in God, we recognize that there's always more growth for me. But here's the coolest thing about this funnel, is that at no point on this funnel are you any more a part of God than when you first started. You know, there's this idea that I've got to know so much before I become righteous. But this idea is that once I agree to walk this funnel, to begin my path on this funnel, I am a child of God. And so at no point am I more saved if I know more. It's just this idea that I'm continuing to grow. And so what this allows us, if we have this view of what it means to have faith, then it means that I can walk side by side with somebody who's at a different level on the funnel than I am. They don't need to know everything that I know, or I don't need to know everything that they know. That together we are walking in what it means to grow in this funnel towards God. I don't know if that makes sense to you. If it doesn't, put some questions down in the comments below. We'll kind of address those. But for me, this is how I can say that this certainty is an idol, because certainty, at what level can you be certain? Because what you're going to find is if you're truly seeking, when you come to know things, you're going to find that once you know those things, there's so much more that you don't know. And so faith is walking and growing in what it means to become more like God, or to become more like the divine. And so I want to encourage you today, if you are in that place of deconstruction, if you're in that place of questioning, then I want you to know that God is okay with it. God loves it, because we should all be at that place of not knowing, of understanding that there's things that we don't know, or we don't understand, and that we're going to walk in this together. But we are going to not be people who stay in that phase, but we are going to be people who continue to grow what it means to become more like God. So I hope that makes sense to you. I hope that it challenged you in some way. If not, let me know and we'll try to go at it a different direction. But I want to close with this. May we be people who are not afraid of questions, and may we be people who walk with each other as we grow closer to the divine. I hope you have a great day. Grace and peace.